So we're going to continue this conversation. And in this experience of creating our legendary life, one of the critical principles is this idea we call the vibration of creation. Our vibration of creation, how we show up and create our life. How many of you have heard of the law of manifestation before, law of attraction? Chime in the chat below if you've heard of the law of attraction. It's also tied to the law of creation, the law of manifestation. These laws are all intertwined, but it's based on this simple principle: like attracts like. And that every thought, every emotion sends out a vibration to the universe that then brings more of those like similar things into our lives. And so this principle of vibration of creation is important because let me ask this question. How many of you would love to be masters at manifesting in your life? Chime in the chat below if you want to be masters at manifesting. Who wants to be a master of manifesting? Let me hear. Awesome. Thanks. Here's the secret. You guys ready for the secret? You already are. You're already a master of manifesting, just like you're a master of gravity. It's a law. You can't turn it off. Like, you can't get better at gravity. You're just like, gravity is a law, and you're already a master of doing manifestation. The challenge is oftentimes you're using it unconsciously and you're manifesting things that you don't want. Like, for instance, have you ever just been in a lousy mood and been like, oh my gosh, this is hard, this is stupid, I don't want to have to do this. And you just notice you go in this downward cycle of attracting more and more junk or shit into your life. Yeah, right? Because that's how the laws work. And so often, because we're unconscious of the principles or laws, we don't know how to harness it for our favor. So I'm going to take you through a process to really help you understand how to harness this law of manifestation so that you can show up and start creating more of these results that you want in your life. Before I do, I want to introduce you to this model created by Dr. David Hawkins in this book, Power versus Force. How many of you have ever read that book? The book is really designed to teach people about the power of frequencies and vibration. And it uses this modality called muscle testing to demonstrate to actually test and model like the frequency of different things. And one of the things that he focuses on in that book is helping people understand that every emotion that we have carries with it a vibrational frequency. Every emotion. Sometimes we think emotions there's like bad emotions or good emotions. The reality, emotions are emotions. Emotions are simply indicator. They're simply a scale to demonstrate what vibrational frequency we're resonating on. Does that make sense? Like, this is important to understand because a lot of times people are like, well, I don't know what I'm manifesting right now. I don't know what frequency I'm at. Well, your emotions are the key for you to understand where you're at on that scale. So I'm going to share with you this research done by Dr. David Hawkins so that you can see how this applies to your life. So here is the scale that he defined. And I want you to look at down at the bottom, at this bottom, the lowest vibrational states we're in. You know what these feel like. It's shame. Just shame and guilt, and going up to apathy or grief. And then we go up to a space of fear. And the way that he's measured them through a scientific process is on a scale of 0 to 1,000. And these are the vibrational frequencies that we're putting out. And so I want you to notice all of these emotions that we might perceive as bad or unwanted: humiliation, blame, despair. These are on the lower frequencies of our vibrational scale. And let me ask you this question, like, just even looking at how you feel. When you feel guilt, or when you feel shame, when you feel apathy, is that a light or is that a heavy emotion? Yeah, they feel heavy in our body, don't they? And so in this space, what's important to understand is, like, it's not about making these emotions wrong, but it's about having this awareness of where we're at within our emotional paradigm, within our emotional scale. And then you see the emotions, you know, as we start moving up the scale, going to anger and pride, up to courage, where it becomes more of a neutral energy, where we start feeling the power, the ability to create. And then it goes all the way up to acceptance and reason, then to love, joy, peace, and enlightenment, or the sense of being ineffable, this sense of just being totally at peace and present with what is the highest emotional state that we can achieve. So we're going to play this game right now, and we call it the vibration game. Okay, this is the game where we experience how these different emotions feel within our body, and we're going to be talking about this power that we call emotional sovereignty. Write those words down. Emotional sovereignty. Emotional sovereignty. This is a liberating concept, because when we can recognize that we're the ones that have a dial, our hands on the dial of how we feel, then we can realize that I'm responsible. I have the ability to respond. I have the ability to create the emotions I want. So one of the first principles of Legendary is what we call radical responsibility. Write that down. Radical responsibility. Radical responsibility is where we take full ownership for our experience of our life. Full experience for the results that are showing up. Radical responsibility means I claim and own that my emotions are my emotions. My results are my results. My relationships are my relationships. My money situation is my money situation. All of these things, radical responsibility says no one else is responsible for the results of my life. I am. It's my life. It's my garden. It's my fruit that I'm creating in my life. So with that, when we understand that our vibration is part of the fruits that we're experiencing in our life, then through this principle of radical responsibility, we can understand that we have the power to create the vibration that we want. So how many of you would like to go through a really cool process where you anchor this in so that you step out of emotional victimhood and back into emotional sovereignty? Who'd be interested in experiencing this? Say aye, right? Chime in the chat below. I'm in. Okay, perfect. Because this is fundamental. You want to create the life that you want, we must escape all forms of victimhood, especially believing that things outside of us are responsible for how we feel. Let's be honest. How often have you in your life ever thought, oh my gosh, I'm feeling terrible because he said something? Or I'm feeling terrible because, my boss was rude or didn't respect me. I'm feeling terrible because I got this bill in the mail. I'm feeling terrible because, my car got a scratch on it. I'm feeling terrible because, my dog, pooped on the carpet, or whatever it might be. Notice the moment we use the word because, we're giving power to that thing for how we're experiencing our life. We give our power away. As long as you believe something outside of you, remember that this is incredibly liberating when you can really grasp this and practice it. When you believe something outside of you is responsible for how you're feeling, the emotional vibration of creation you're in, then you remain powerless. But when you can reclaim that radical responsibility and take emotional sovereignty for your life, then all of a sudden you realize that your emotions are your emotions, and no one can make you mad, no one can make you angry, no one can make you sad. And you probably know this already, but still there might be times where you find yourself drifting into these lower vibrational states, and you're not sure why. Or you believe that it's something outside of you that's causing you to do that. So one of the things that we do through the Legendary experience is we have a process we call soul activation. And so I'm going to guide you through an experience at the beginning to really tune into our power to create these emotional states within us. And then I'm going to be facilitating you through a soul activation experience. I'm going to have you witness your ability to shift your emotional vibration and how critical this is for you to create the results you want. So let me go ahead and start by just asking for a volunteer, someone that actually wants to have a breakthrough. Is there anyone here that wants to have an extraordinary breakthrough? Tara, take yourself off mute.
Off.
All right, Tara. So I want you to Everyone say hey, Tara. Chime in the chat below and say hey, Tara. Thank her for showing up and being willing to engage in this process. So Tara, I want you to right now in this moment, identify a time in your life where you just felt absolutely terrible. Think of a time where you just felt like you felt miserable, you felt awful, you felt either anxious or scared. Tell me about that time.
Like describe it or tell you how I felt?
Tell me what was happening at that time. Tell me what was going on.
This is a long time ago. My college boyfriend and I had broken up. Things just didn't really work out with us. And it was pretty surprising to me. And I ended up, well, whatever, guys, sorry, TMI. I ended up like a couple months after we had broken up, I ended up hooking up with somebody that he knew. And then the storyline became that I'm this awful person. I'm the reason we will never get married. We would never XYZ move forward in life, even though he was the one that broke up with me and like literally just disconnected from me altogether with no reason. And I spent years of my, like literally I spent 10 years of my life feeling guilty, shame, and like truly believing that story he outwardly told versus what I know what happened.
Yeah. So I want you to pause here and for everyone, like I want you to like see what parts of the story you relate to. Have you ever been through a terrible divorce or breakup or something where you felt yourself going this downward spiral? Have you ever been affected by someone else's words or their perception of you, or what they told you about you? So what Tara's sharing with us is this experience where she had a trauma that happened in her life, and because of that, this other person was planting this idea of who she was, and it thrust her into this like really, really negative emotional state. How would you describe that emotion at that time?
I mean, I just felt I was disgusted with myself.
Okay,
like I believed it. I believed it.
Yeah. So what else? What else? You felt disgusted. What other emotions did you experience at that time?
Disappointment, like sadness, shame, kind of like a grief too, in a weird way.
Yeah. Yeah, and so just recognize those, and you just saw the vibrational scale of that Dr. Hawkins laid out. But to simplify it, we're just going to say it on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being you feel absolutely enlightened, feel incredible, feel extraordinary, feel joyful, feel abundant. 10 is like our peak state. 1 is just, you know, being at the very bottom in that shame, guilt. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you have rated your own emotional state at that time?
I was definitely at a 1.
Okay.
Like my whole life spiraled for quite a long time after that.
Yeah, and how long did that last for you?
Like the very toxic spiral of me literally destroying everything around me, including myself, was about 5 years. And then the last 5 part of the process was me climbing back out and like reclaiming the truth and who I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I mean, there was one night, I just like literally dove into drugs and alcohol and just not respecting myself and wanting to kill myself. Yeah. Like, honestly.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Tara. I know that's difficult. And I want everyone to recognize these moments where we go in these downward spirals. And as we look at these emotions, we look at these vibrations of creation, it's important to understand that each emotional state has a recipe. Like there's a recipe for our emotions. there's a recipe for these vibrations. At that time, Tara was running a recipe that created frustration, it created depression, it created shame and guilt. It was a recipe. I want you to remember this. Emotions aren't just something we feel. Emotions are something we do. Emotions are something we create. When we understand that emotions are something we do, then we can get curious of like, okay, how are we creating those emotions in our experience? And so, Tara, I'm going to invite you, and I'm going to invite every one of you to play along with me right now, okay? Because we're going to explore this emotional states, because in doing so, we start reclaiming our power to be in control of the emotional dial inside our body, the vibrational frequency that we resonate at. When we can understand how we are choosing to create those emotions. And I get that at that time, when we're unconscious, we don't realize that we're choosing it. You know, someone that's been in a toxic relationship or has been rejected or has been attacked or verbally abused or physically abused, they don't consciously believe that they're choosing that emotional state, but they are. Right? This is something that people that have experienced abuse don't want to admit, because there's a payoff for being stuck in victimhood. Do you guys get this? There's a payoff to being stuck in victimhood, because in being stuck in victimhood, what is the payoff? Why do people stay stuck in victimhood years after a trauma or an abuse happens? Why? There's safety in being in victimhood. There's justification. They don't have to take responsibility. They can believe that it's someone else's fault.
The pity party.
Yeah, and they get validation sometimes. Thanks, John. They get validation from sharing their story with other people, and they get empathy for that, right? But remember, it's impossible to heal when we're anchored to victimhood. Because inherently, as we're stuck in victimhood, we believe that there's something or someone else that has more power over our life than we do. And I'm not saying that traumas aren't painful, but the trauma happens, but then what happens after the trauma is 100% our responsibility. Do you get this? 100% our responsibility. And so in that space, once again, I'm not even pretending it's easy. And I have deep compassion for people like Tara that have been through difficult breakups or situations. But in that moment, it's important for us to reclaim that personal power and sovereignty by understanding how we're choosing to create this experience. So I'm going to invite every one of you to play along. Tara, are you there with me? Take yourself up here. All right, perfect. So I'm going to invite you, Tara, to go back to that moment. Go back to that deepest pit of your pain. I'm going to invite everyone else of you to do this as well. Think of the moment in your life where you felt hurt, where you felt shame, where you felt guilt. Just every one of you, just go back to that moment and go ahead and feel it in your body. Notice how in that moment you would sit. If you were totally depressed, totally sad, just go there right now and feel that. How would you sit? Just sit as you would sit. Feel as you would feel. Just think about those things that you thought about at that time. And each one of you, I just want you to go back to that experience and really tune in to that emotion and feel within that. Just allow yourself to feel how you create that emotion in your life. That emotion of being depressed or being frustrated. And in this moment, I'm going to have you really tune into the recipe through which you're doing. Just go ahead and nod and let me know when you're there in that emotion. Each one of you just nod. And I'm going to have you, for your own sake, identify on a scale of 1 to 10 where you're at. 1 being absolutely feeling at your lowest. 10 being you feel absolutely amazing. On a scale of 1 to 10, where you're at. Just recognize. Some of you might be feeling like -2. And this is important to recognize that. Notice how easy it is to create this emotional state if you choose. To just go back to that moment, to go back to that painful moment. But right now, I'm just going to invite you to tune into how you generate this emotion of shame or guilt or depression. Just feel that right now. And in this moment, observe how you experience your body. The body is the first part of the recipe. How do you hold your body? Are your shoulders back or are they hunched over? Yeah, they're hunched over, right? Is your breathing deep and full, or is it light and shallow? It's light and shallow. You're barely breathing at all, right? Is your focus up or is it down? Yeah, it's down. And just notice, and maybe there's parts of your body that you notice you're feeling tension. Maybe there's this feeling of contraction that you're experiencing. Just observe right now how you feel the emotion, the state of being at your level 1 or level 2. And in this moment, if you could vocalize and describe what this emotion feels like, what is that emotion that you feel? Depression, sadness, fear, anger, despair. Okay, just recognize this is how you create despair. Now, the second part of the recipe, after we identify our body, is our mind. Our mind is the thoughts and pictures that go through our mind. What are those words? What are those pictures that you see in your mind? When you are in that state of despair, what are you imagining? What do you think of, Tara?
I'm imagining never getting out.
Okay,
Like figuring
out. What else?
Figuring out how to live in that space that I've created. Feeling guilt, pain, like.
Yeah. Once again, see those pictures that go through your mind. And oftentimes in this space, we might remember the painful trauma or things that have happened in the past, or we might be imagining a future in which nothing changes, or when you can't actually have what you want. So just really tune into what were the pictures that were created in your mind as you were there.
That I was just an awful person.
Yeah.
That I was just like the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
Not worthy of love, not worthy of anything good, really.
So once again, that's the second part of the recipe. Is there's our body, then there's our mind in terms of how we're focusing our energy, what we're driving our attention towards. And the third part is our spirit. Our spirit is how we perceive ourselves. What follows I am. So in that moment, as you were feeling despair, how would you describe yourself? I am. And what are the words that would follow that as you were in that state?
I am unworthy.
I'm unworthy. What else?
I am awful.
I'm awful. What else?
I'm scum.
And for everyone else, I want you to vocalize, what are those words that are attached to this emotional vibration? What are those words? What's that identity that you feel for yourself, that your spirit has? How do you perceive yourself when you're in this emotional vibration? For every one of you, really tune in. This is how you create that emotional state. Now some of you are thinking, oh my gosh, Gerald, I thought I was coming to be inspired at this event. The reality is this is the path of liberating yourself when you realize, notice how easy was it to create this emotional state?
Scary.
Very easy, right? Why? Because you practiced it. You had 5 years, Tara, of practicing it, maybe even longer. You might have practiced it off and on again over your entire life. And for some people, this is the base, this is the set point, this is what they're normally at. Some people are so practiced at this emotional state that they don't even know what it's like to be at level 3 or 4 because they're so used to spending time recreating this emotional state over and over and over and over again. Get this? Mm-hmm. Sometimes we get stuck in these ruts where we feel hopeless and we don't understand how we're recreating this emotion. So everyone, right now, I'm just going to ask you this question. How many of you want to experience a different emotional state? Right. So we're going to shift. We're not going to go all the way up to level 10 right now. We're just going to shift to a space of neutrality right now. So I'm going to actually teach you a process It's a scientifically proven process that I've dedicated the last 10 years to researching and figuring out, but a simple, instant process to release negative emotion. How many of you would be interested in knowing this process that I've developed? Yeah? All right, go ahead and stand up. This deeply scientific process proven to release negative emotion instantly. Seriously, this is a valuable tool. Ready? Just everyone follow along with me. Go like this. Go. Big deep breath in.
I'm going to mute myself. Okay.
Just shake it out. All right. You already feel better, don't you, right now? So right now, as you stand there, I want you to imagine that you just close your eyes and just imagine you have a hand on your dial and you're cranking it from that level 1 energy to a level 5. And you're just stepping into a space of being neutral, a space of peace. Just right now, stand as you would stand if you were just totally at peace. See how much peace you can feel right now. Just feel this sense of presence like wash over your body. Just notice how easy that is to shift your emotional state, even just to a level 5, where you just feel present, you feel peaceful, like you feel like everything's okay. Just go ahead and nod when you feel that way. Just nod when you notice that. So notice, what is your recipe for feeling peace? How do you stand when you're peaceful? How do you breathe when you are peaceful? What are the pictures that go through your mind when you're peaceful, when you're present? That's good. Just go ahead and feel that right now. And now, just because we can, let's play a game. You guys want to play a game? We're going to call this the Raise the Vibration Through the Roof game. We're going to see how quickly, if we chose, we could shoot to a level 10 and above. How quickly we can step into being the most powerful version of ourselves. How quickly we can run the recipe of outrageous success. I just want you to imagine in this moment that you had the power to just raise that dial, and I'm going to take you through a soul activation process. Now, soul activation is the process to align with our highest and best self. It's a practice of raising our vibration of creation so that we can show up in the world and actually create what we want. So the vibration of creation, this game that we're playing, this soul activation process, this is something we do every single day as a legendary tribe at 8:40 a.m. Mountain Time every single day, because this is an anchoring process to make sure that we show up in the world as a powerful and dynamic being. So in this moment, I'm just going to have you play along, and let's just see. What if we could step into our level 10 selves? What if we could experience absolute utter joy? What if we could experience undeniable gratitude? So as I walk you through this process, there's lots of different forms of breathing exercises and techniques that we do as part of our soul activation. But today I'm going to do 3 cycles of 30 breaths. We're going to do 3 cycles. At the end of each cycle of 30 breaths, I'm going to have you hold that breath, breathe all the way in and just hold that breath. And just imagine that you're shooting energy out to the tips of your fingers and all the way down to your toes, and you're just feeling this energy vibrate. So at the end of each cycle, we're just going to have you hold that breath as long as you can as you focus on the intention of each cycle. The first cycle of 30 breaths, the first cycle is all the present cycle. It's clearing our mind from all of the noise, chatter, and all the garbage from the past or worrying about the future. The present cycle is really getting here now. So the first cycle of 30 breaths, every breath you just focus on bringing in more presence and letting go of anything that doesn't serve. All of the noise of your mind, all of the busy thoughts, all of the worries of what you need to do later or what happened yesterday or before, you just let all that go. That's the first cycle of 30 breaths, and then you hold it. The second cycle of 30 breaths is the gratitude cycle. Gratitude is for me, the energy, the frequency of abundance. Gratitude is this really high vibrational state through which we can begin manifesting and attracting what we want. And then the third cycle of 30 breaths is what I call the vision cycle. The vision cycle is where we really tune into what is it that you're consciously choosing to manifest and create in your life. And listen to this. This is really important for each one of you as you think about the vision you have. John, for you, as you think about the business you want to create and build. For Tara, as you think the things you want to build. For Lara, as you think about the growth in your business that you want to have. As each one of you is thinking about the relationships and the health and all of these things you want to have, The goal of the vision cycle is to align our vibration with those things that we desire. When we can raise our vibrational state, then our frequency then magnetizes those things towards us and makes it so it's easy for us to take the inspired actions required to create them. Does this make sense? I want you to get this. Like manifesting the life of your dreams isn't hard, but it is practice. And you do need to be in the vibrational state or the frequency so that you can call that into your life. So you can call that, whether it be the life partner or the business of your dreams or the house or whatever else you want to create. So this is incredibly powerful. So that third cycle of 30 breaths, we're aligning with that vision of what you want. And then I'm going to be guiding you through a process. And you're just going to notice that you can step instantly being into that level 10 version of yourself. But already I want you to think about this. If you were to step into being the most powerful version of you, the absolute most powerful version of you, how would you stand right now? Just go ahead and stand as you would stand. If you were absolutely, undeniably powerful and certain and confident, totally alive and totally joyful, just go ahead and stand that way right now. Good. And just feel that right now as you just stand as you would if you were totally, undeniably powerful and confident. Remember this, because this is part of your recipe for success. Feel that right now. As you just feel that sense of confidence flowing through your body as you just stand as the most powerful version of you. Now in this moment, as you think about the most powerful version of you, what would you be thinking about? What would you be focusing? How would you use your mind if you were undeniably confident and joyful and feeling this sense of abundance? Just go ahead and think about those things now. And what would you believe about yourself? And at the end of the vision cycle, I'm going to take you through an I am process where we're going to be able to really anchor in with positive declarations, this new identity. But this is you're going to notice how easy it is to shift in this. So let's go ahead and begin with 30 cycles of breaths. As we do this, just go ahead and have fun with this. Just feel that breath flowing through you. As I breathe, I love pulling in the energy. Either pulling it in like this, just imagining I'm grabbing handfuls of energy from the universe and I'm pulling in, or pulling it in like this, but pulling that energy and draw that in and see how much you can raise that vibration. So we're going to do 30 breaths together. Do it with me now. Have your cameras on so we can do this together. If you want to sit, you can. I prefer standing. Tony faints when he does this sometimes, so just be responsible. Don't do this if you're driving and all that other legal disclaimer. So we're going to do 30 breaths. Ready? Begin. Halfway there. 10 more. 5 more. Breathe all the way in and just hold it. And in this moment, to be totally present, feel that energy resonating through your whole being. Feel your body vibrating with this sense of presence. Feel the earth beneath your feet right now. Feel that strength in your body and each of your muscles. Feel the wind gently against your face. In this moment, be fully present to the miracle of life that you are. Be fully present to this moment. Feel that intoxicating joy that comes from being alive right now. Not worrying about the past, not worrying about the future, just feeling yourself into this moment right now and just push that energy out the tips of your finger, tips of your toes. And right now, claim this moment now. Now slowly release as though you're breathing through a straw, this golden light. Just let that out and just feel how amazing you feel in your body already right now. We're gonna do 30 more breaths this time. Focus on gratitude. What could you be outrageously grateful for right now if you chose? What could you be undeniably, unbelievably happy about right now? We're gonna do 30 breaths. Ready, begin. 10 more. Last one, breathe all the way in and hold it. Focus on that sense of gratitude. What are you most grateful for right now? See the pictures in your mind's eye of everything that you're grateful for. The people, the things in your life, the opportunities. Let that gratitude expand and become even 10 times stronger as you continue to hold your breath, feeling that resonating, that golden light washing over you, feeling this unbelievable sense of being alive and gratitude. Yes, that's right. How much more grateful could you feel? How much more joy could you feel right now? Just change. That's right. You're doing perfect. So that as long as you can. And in this moment, as you're in that field of gratitude, feel yourself being a magnet for all that you desire. A magnet for the love, for the joy, for the abundance, for all of those things being manifested. Go ahead and release and breathe out if you haven't already. We're going to do one more cycle of 30 breaths. This is the vision cycle. This is where you claim and call in those things you desire. Call in the people, call in the experiences, call in the opportunities, call them in right now. Ready? Begin. Do 5 more. Breathe in. Take a big deep breath in. Hold that breath. Hold it big and strong right now. See in your mind's eye, seeing yourself having already created and received everything that you desire. See in your mind's eye with absolute clarity the relationships that you desire to have and experience. See yourself with the business and income and wealth that you desire. Feel that right now. Get that clarity in your mind and feel that as though it's already happened now. Align yourself with that vibration, that frequency of who you need to be to have that in your life. Align yourself right now with that healthy, strong, vital body, that healing energy flowing through you right now. Beautiful. All that in right now, manifest it. It's yours. It's already yours. Go ahead and slowly exhale and place your hands on your heart. Place your hands on your heart, and as you place your hands on your heart, feel that level 10 vibration cycling through your body, feeling that sense of being totally alive right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 minute, we're going to go on a declaration rant. For 1 minute, you get to declare who you are. And using I am statements, you say, I am powerful, I am loving, I am inspired. Just claim who you get to be able to easily manifest that in your life. Describe yourself as that highest and best version of you. For 1 minute straight, we're going to take all of you off mute. We're going to have all of you get off mute and speak out loud with energy, with passion, with power, with confidence. We're going to just declare that for 1 minute. Ready, get set, go. Take yourself off mute.
I am powerful, I'm wealthy, I am brilliant, I'm creative, I am so powerful and brilliant.
Lighting, love, connection.
Close your eyes and hold your hands on your heart right now. As you hold out your hands on your heart, remember this is who you truly are. Feel that sense of joy flowing through your body. And welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome to that part of you that has always existed. That part of you that sometimes might have fallen asleep and have forgotten. Welcome home to the sense of truth, reminding you that you are worthy of all that you desire. You are capable of achieving all of your dreams. You are so loved. You are so perfect, whole and complete. And in this moment, just feel that flowing through your body as you just remember who you are. And in this moment, just recognize that this is a practice of remembering, a practice of coming back home. This is a practice that allows us to occur to ourselves differently. I want you to ask yourself in this state, in this emotional vibration, what is possible for you in your life? What would you create if you were at this state in your life as you went out and were building your business? What would happen in your life if you were at this state when you were out engaging in the relationships and friendships in your life? What would happen if you treated yourself and your body from this state? What would be possible? And it's all simply raising the vibration of creation, remembering who you truly are. Remembering who you are. I'm going to have you reinforce this one more time. We're going to do one more manifesto rant for 1 more minute. We're going to anchor this in one more time. We're going to invite all of you, step up, stand up right now, crank up that dial as high as you can, feel that energy grow and build. And we're going to take 1 more minute of declaring and claiming who we are, owning every bit of it, every cell of our body. On a count of 3, take yourself off mute for 1 more minute. 1, 2, 3. Take yourself off mute right now.
I am confident. I am brave. I am loved. I am loved. I am
An achiever.
And in this moment, just feel that. Welcome home. So I'm curious, chime in the chat below on a scale of 1 to 10. How are you feeling now? How are you feeling now? Yeah, 10 plus. Yeah. Just allow yourself to feel that fantastic, amazing feeling and just notice. Notice the emotion that's connected to this. Tara, take yourself off mute for a second. How are you feeling?
Great.
So how did you create this? How did you create this emotion? What was your recipe for feeling amazing?
It's just really coming into believing and knowing who I am.
Yeah.
Like the I am statements. I think just like being able to, I mean, in the breath work, it's just interesting because you can like, I mean, I'm religious. So for me, like, I really felt like I was like really pulling and tapping into, you know, God to help just infuse me with those feelings of who I am. But yeah.
Yeah, and every one of you, I want you to tune into like, what are you realizing? What are the breakthroughs that you're having right now? What happens when you realize that you can control this anytime? Every single day as a tribe, we gather to do soul activation. So every time our goal is to get you up to level 10 so you can show up in the world and create from that space. And you can do this on your own too. It's just remembering that body posture and focusing on that breathing. Breathing is like a really powerful tool to help us clear all of the toxins from our brain, to activate all these neurochemicals that allow us to show up in a powerful state, and to focus on the I am statements, the words that actually allow us to be at those high vibrational frequencies. And just making the commitment to practice this. And notice what happens for you after you've been practicing for a while. Lori, will you take yourself off mute? I would love for you to share, Lori, what has happened for you from the time that you began with Legendary until now in terms of just where your normal range of operation is.
Which Lori?
Oh yeah, okay, the other one. I was gonna say, I'm not.
Well, yeah, Lori didn't Bendo. Sorry, there's two Lori. She's like, I just joined you. I don't know. This is awesome, but Lori's been part of our tribe for Lori Freelick has been part of the tribe. So I'm going to have her share the contrast that she's experienced after doing this consistently over time. What's happened for you?
My awareness is, I catch it faster. I have created a routine so that I do it regularly, so it does not occur as often. And when it does occur, it is not as deep. And because it's not as deep, I can pop out of it faster. Sometimes I'm shocked how deep and low I feel. And then within minutes, I can just literally take myself out of it and stay at that level. And just have never been able to do it that often to be able to pop myself out of that low, dark space.
Yeah, thank you so much. Josiah, what have you noticed from participating in consistent soul activations and making this a practice in your life? There, Josiah?
I'm here. Maintaining at a different level. And I feel like a lot of the time in the past, I found myself like maintaining this like level 6, level 7 kind of energy, and realizing that I can tap into level 10 energy on a whim if I so choose. And creating that recipe for me, like Lori said, having that ritual in my life of getting into a peak state, at the beginning of my day, and then also recognizing and having that awareness of, oh, this is what I'm feeling, and taking responsibility for it, and being able to step into the next level of what I really want to create, and walking through those points of awareness and accountability and inspired action.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm going to have Tony share here in a moment too, because this is like fundamentally to be able to shift the results that show up in our life, we need to take radical responsibility of our life and know how to manage our emotional states so we can show up and create. This is the key. This is why, when you join the Path to Power, over the 8 weeks that we have together, we really invest the time and energy to build these habits of success in, so that your normal becomes 8 or 9 or 10. Like that becomes your standard. You become addicted to this feeling of being high. And from that space, you have unbelievable productivity in your ability to create results in your life. You have this expanded sense of creativity and being able to problem solve and navigate the ever-changing things that happen. You have this deep level of confidence that occurs to you in your life because you're simply focusing on reinforcing this identity. So Tony, I would love for you to just really quickly share the power of building this as a ritual. And then what we're going to do is we're going to break all of you into small groups where you get to share the breakthroughs that you're having, any takeaways that you really want to anchor in and remember. So Tony, you just go ahead and share why this is so important to build as a daily ritual or as an experience that you focus on over and over again.
I was thinking back to when I first started doing this. I'd raised about $1 million for this company for the startup I was part of, and it was all these people that trusted me. And we found out one of the partners was not being honest, and we ended up having to do kind of a hostile takeover of the company, and we ended up in these lawsuits. And it was and I was coming off of a concussion from a car accident, so I had a lot of mental confusion. And we were spending sometimes 2 to 3 hours a day yelling on the phone with these attorneys who were really quite juvenile in their approach. But it was just like all this chaos and all this argument. And I was so exhausted every day. And Bree says, my partner, she says to me one day, she goes, you're just creating more of this. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes when our partner says that kind of stuff to us, I bristle at times, but I knew that I was like, okay, what do you mean? She says, well, if you show up in this energy every day, you're just creating more of that energy. And I knew it was true, even though I hated to hear it. And it's interesting because I want to say this. When I got hit by a drunk driver, I've really thought through this. Did I manifest that? Did I attract that into my life? Or was it just a circumstantial thing and we collided? But then from that point on, it became, what can I create from this? There wasn't like a lot of benefit of going, oh, I manifested that into my life. Whether or not I did, I don't know. But what happened was I had to learn how to shift into focusing on something more of what I wanted. So when I was in this place of feeling awful or feeling dizzy for months or wearing sunglasses and earplugs for almost a year, I couldn't read or write for a while. What I realized was I had to grab onto these little tiny moments where I felt good to remind myself of what it meant to feel good. And this is where the breathing practice started. So I would do this breathing practice and I could get into this peak state. It was really interesting because within maybe 3 or 4 days of me doing this, my other business partner, he's like, dude, what's up with you? You're so calm. What are you doing? Because it was the same conflict was going on. It took us 9 months to work through it all, but he noticed immediately. And I said, well, I do this little breathing. And then he goes, well, teach it to me. So pretty soon he and I are doing it. And then our manager, she's like, what's up with you guys? Like, you guys are so calm all of a sudden. If the lawsuits ended, we're like, oh no, they're going full bore. And we said, we do this little breathing, and the manager's like, I want to get in on this. So pretty soon we're doing this every morning with the manager, with my business partner and I. And then pretty soon our marketing guy's like, guys, what changed? You guys are so calm. You're so focused. You're so positive. What are you doing? Well, we do this breathing. Pretty soon, like half our company gets on the phone every day at 8 o'clock and hyperventilates together and gets into this really peak state. And we transformed the inside of that company while the storm was still going on the outside. And I still had to face these combative calls and all this like fighting and all this stuff that was happening on the outside. Within the company itself, we created a new culture where every day we started to say things like, we do our breathing, we get really high and we get present, and we start to say, what have we already manifested today? And we started saying things like, today I manifested a solution to this issue we're having on the web, as if it had already happened. Today, I've manifested this new client and this revenue source coming in. Today, I've manifested that we've hit profitability and the systems are running and they're functioning. And like, we started to speak into existence what we were intending for the day, and we showed up in that energy of intention. And I would do this breathing like 4, 5, 6, sometimes 10 times a day, because it was so much noise and my head was messed up because of the concussion, and it was like so much chaos. But we transformed the inside of that company, and over the next several months, we created exactly what we had spoken into existence. And we were able to sell the company for a profit, and all the investors got paid back and made money, and all that chaos went away out of my life. But I first created the calmness on the inside. I didn't wait for the outside storms to go away to create that. So for me, this was the start of this breathing process. And then my family had a hostile takeover of our business where a family member secretly sold the company that we've been running for 25 years, secretly sold it over the weekend, and then on Monday morning fired a dozen of my family members all on the same day. So I got to experience this about maybe 2 years later. So I immediately got an airplane and I flew to Boise where they lived. And within 24 hours, we had formed a new corporation. I talk about this on my podcast. The What the Flow is the name of the podcast. WTF, What the Flow. But we immediately formed a new company. Within 24 hours, we had new clients that came with us. And we didn't let this thing where a bunch of people lost their retirement and a dozen family members overnight lost their jobs. We didn't sit around and lament about it and wring our hands and go, oh. We immediately shifted into what can we create with this? And we did it through this breathing. So once again, I started leading everybody on this morning breathing exercise, which led to what we do now with Legendary, the soul activation. This is such a powerful habit to establish, to get ourselves into a peak state. And when we're feeling bad, or we have conflict, or our body's injured, sometimes the best we can do is just find a little piece of something that feels better and start to grab onto that and hang on to that. So I love that we're doing this as a tribe, we're doing this as a group, because this practice will transform every aspect of your life if you simply jump in and start doing it.
Thank you so much, Tony. So what we're going to do is throughout the experience over the next 3 days, we're going to give you an opportunity to share your breakthroughs and insights with each other. So we're going to be putting you into small breakout groups. This time it's going to be way shorter. We're only going to spend about 5 to 7 minutes in those small breakout groups. So each person's going to take 30 to 60 second stops. And you get to share what you're learning, the breakthroughs that you're having. This is so important for the learning process because it's one thing to hear. It's another thing to write. It's a whole different thing to actually vocalize and then to do, because that's where the reinforcement makes it so that it enters the long-term learning part of your brain. So we're going to go into small groups right now. And as you go into these small groups, each one of you just take 30 to 60 seconds and really just focus on sharing what you're learning about yourself, the breakthroughs that you're having, and why it's important. So go to your small groups now. We'll see you soon.